What's good, my boy? Sitting out here on the tractor because I got to get this tire where I got my tripod. The tire's all messed up and flat, so I'm gonna have to try to get that fixed because I ain't gonna be able to do much building today. Sitting out here with this Elliot Rogers lighting. I gotta cut down a bunch of trees with my neighbor and my grandpa. They're getting real dead and they're real close to the power lines, but anyway, I figured since I ain't gonna have time to sit here and film a build and film a yap, I might as well, in the 30 minutes before they come over here and we get ready, just ponder off a couple things that I've been thinking about in my little notebook. But I was thinking about this crazy thing. I was like, why are people so like kind of sad nowadays? Like you see this resurgence of like philosophers like Camus, which to me is like a preposterous line of thinking, even like the absurdist point of view. Recently, I've really found my faith in Christianity, and it's just been strengthening by the day, and it feels so good compared to whenever I was in these lines of thinking, like, oh, like it literally in the Camus book, it opens up with a line where it's like, my mom died yesterday, or was it the day before? Was it a week ago? I don't know. Life is absurd. I should kill myself. My bad, boys. Somehow I misquoted Camus. It was something along the lines of one of his characters was basically like, oh, my life's so meaningless. I don't know if I should have a coffee or if I should kill myself. like it's kind of funny, but it's just like absurd to think about to me now. Like really process it and think that through. That's just like, haha, funny, but like, what the fuck, bro? I don't want to kill myself by any means. There's so much to do. It's like something along those lines. And people are like, yeah, that's so deep. And I'm just sitting over here like loving life, just like absolutely happy, feeling like I don't have enough time on this planet to do the things that I want to do because I love so many things. And it's really crazy. Like it's crazy that the majority of my generation, no, I don't want to frame it like that because that puts off like that puts off that thinking of like, oh, I wish I was born in a different generation. I love my generation. I love the ability and the tools at my disposal nowadays. Internet, straight up Library of Alexandria in your pocket, basically. I love that. But there are certain aspects that we've just culturally, as a generation, accepted that are literally ridiculous. Like the 2016, 27 SoundCloud times, I look back at those memories so fondly. And this whole experience, this country life, this building, this is really only like a couple years old to me. And I mean, I've been coming up here since I was like a child, basically. But it was really just 2 or 3 months out of the year. I get to experience the country, get to learn some actual useful things, and then I'd go back down into the city where my parents lived, and it would be all sorts of. I remember, like, I'll literally show you one of the best. I learned how to build cabinets up here, and about the main thing that I learned how to do down where I lived, hanging out with my friends, was that. That was literally, like, that sums it up. Build cabinets or that. Like just fucking the 2017 SoundCloud era is preposterous when you think about it. Because you have a whole generation brought up on this idea of these like get rich quick, get lucky, get a pop off and you're set for life. And it's just this like toxic mindset that does not promote actually beneficial things for you, like skills, like an actual good work ethic, a relationship with God. It promotes this weird degenerate lifestyle where you care more about the way your hair is braided and painting your fingernails and the tattoos you have than like art you're creating. Like if you think about it, like compare, and this is where I get to, people probably think I'm cringe for saying this because this is kind of a cringy talking point, but you think of a song like, shut the fuck up, dog. You think of a song, they gonna keep hoeing me out here. My boys just stay hoeing me. But you think of a song like Pink Floyd's Time. Like crazy lyrics. The sun is the same in a relative way, but we're older. It's like fitting this in a song that's so hard and so crazy. And then you think of a song like Lil Pump Ooh, Lil Pump Ya, Lil Pump Ya Ya Ya, that type of shit. What does that do on a generation when that's what they have to consume? Of course, we had the phone and you have all these different genres and shit like that. But whenever your actual like class, the people whose opinions you're gonna have to hear from every single day in school are consuming these things, and it's like the mass mindset. Like I remember I had a SoundCloud era. Me and my buddy who like he's a genius, bro. He's like trying to work for SpaceX. He's like on to doing rocket science in Texas A&M, crazy shit. One of the smartest people I know. We made this album and I got songs on there where like I was like 15 or 16 years old and I had this high pitched voice where I sounded like a child still. I remember I used to play like Call of Duty or CSGO and get on the voice chat and I was like 16, 15 years old and I sounded like I was 10 and they would just call me like a little kid and I get so like self-conscious about it. But I made this album and like I hadn't heard it since we came out with it like back then. And it was like a joke amongst all our friends, like some funny type shit. And we look back at this and listen to it again and it was like the most like outlandish, ridiculous, just like I'm just like yeah 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 yo yeah yeah, and then like I'm not gonna detail the contents of the lyrics because they were literally so obscene that it's not even funny. Like certain topics of conversation where I would have a country rap beat back then and I would detail incest in the song, just funny shit to me back then and my friends at least. But it was so bad and it's really insane. Like you think about it, that's probably the reason why so many of these people are in despair and in nihilism and so cynical nowadays, is because you raise an entire generation off this mindset of like easy money, easy ways to the top. If you don't get it, you're a bum. And it's like, that is just so unhealthy. It really is so unhealthy and it's so crazy. And again, this can kind of all just come off as like a cringy talking point. But I'm just so in love with life right now. Like from my painting to my building to these videos. Not as much on the music right now because I've kind of started periodizing that so I can focus on these other things. But all these things I love so much. I love discovering it. I love recently finding ways to like correlate science and the Bible together through this guy named John Lennox has been an incredible interest of mine. And the idea of thinking of life in a cynical way is preposterous to me now. And that's how I remember, to put it in detail, places that I've been before, I discovered this really fun trick you can do with your brain where you take a big old tumbler glass, you put 5 shots of vodka in it, and you fill it to the top with tap water, and you put a big thick hospital straw in it and try to suck it in your brain as fast as possible. You do that 3 times in a night, 6 days a week. It's like a euphoric feeling. You just feel like you're floating. And then the next day you feel like shit until you do it again. And I've done that for like weeks upon weeks at a time whenever I was in these cynical phases. So I understand it all too well. And the only thing that saved me was this idea of a traditional life and and trying to get better at skills. Like those are the only 2 fundamentals you really know. And then religion through Christianity for me. But I'm not one of these evangelical people where I really feel I must like push it on other people, because while I wouldn't say I'm struggling with my faith, like it feels to me at this point in time that my faith is really concrete and it's just learning day by day. It, like I said, it strengthens more and more. But I feel like a lot of Christians, God wouldn't want you to push people away from the church by pushing his message so hard that they get tired of it. I feel like God would want us to be smarter than that. That's why you see people like Jordan Peterson, people stupidly and call him a false prophet and make all these obscene, hypocritical statements about him. But he is like going 5 levels above your inability to convert these people and coming at them with a certain amount of leverage where it actually works, and you actually get people going from atheists to theists to getting interested in religion. And I feel like that's the way you got to think about this shit. That's why I'm not like super overly pushy on people. I'll just, if someone asks me about it or is curious, I'll just detail some of the things that I found that help me think about it and help me conceptualize it. But yeah, it's a totally crazy thing, the whole little pump phenomenon. And it's not even to say that like the melodies were bad. Like that's one of the driving forces, where like the beats and the melodies were pretty good. Simple but pretty good. But then you just have like lyrics that are like asinine compared to the past, like a complete regression of, well, you see it kind of now. You see this pushback in music where all of these people are really like getting back into like that like thought out and patient approach to it. So that's good. Next thing that I really wrote down that I thought was cool was this like idea of like craftsmen and artists. That's why my podcast thing that I do is called The Craftsmen and Creatives. And I call it that because I feel like to seek that, to go towards that, is the most important thing. The reason why I'm interested in so many different hobbies and so on is simply the fact that, just like science, I've been given this new perspective that science really goes alongside the Bible in many ways. And it's almost as if God has laid out these things for us to find. I find these patterns across all of my passions. From painting, you see it whenever you start discovering, like, instead of copying what you see, trying to like sculpt it out and decipher it into shapes, and mastering light and shadow, all these aspects and fundamentals of it that people find boring, those are the parts that I'm finding absolutely fascinating. As well as with the music, all of the aspects of it, from mixing and mastering to actual like fundamentals of melody and rhythm and discovering music theory. I mean, there's a million. All of these things are infinitely deep, which just leads me, and this goes for anything. It could be writing a book, which on the surface seems like a very simple thing, but all the nuances of story and structure and getting into the papers, the pens. I mean, literally, you can take this template and lay it across all these mediums, and they're all infinitely deep. Working and being a mechanic on something, just only tractors, same thing, infinitely deep. Tools, fundamentals, all these things. And to me, that just outlines that there's got to be a meaning. That John Lennox guy really put it into perspective. Like, science and theories tell us how, but religion and things like this, they give us the meaning behind why. And that's really what I've just been so interested in lately. Just this idea that all these things have these, like, they're infinitely deep and they have these fundamentals, and I want to just discover them all. I wish I had more time. I really just don't feel like I have enough time, not in a bad way. That might sound like it's in a bad way, but like in a very positive way. Like, man, life is so good. I wish I could experience more of this. I wish I could experience more of this beautiful gift that has been bestowed upon us. And that's what it all comes down to. How could you, with all of this, how could I ever go back to despair? Yeah, if someone that I love dearly passed away, if that happened, I could understand. But for so long, I've been searching for this rock. I've been searching for this thing, like, okay, I need to set myself up so whenever bad stuff happens, I'm prepared. But I just feel now like I found that through religion, through the brotherhood of it, aspect of it, through the actual mental tools of it, through the actual faith itself, and the belief in afterlife. It kind of puts a lot of these things that we all try to battle with and conceptualize to rest, when you really think about it. And to sit here, this is what I don't understand about non-believers. You sit here and say, oh no, it's perfectly fine, we're just not smart enough to understand anything, so let's just go about it thinking like that. But it's like, it's not fine. Because if it was fine, then people like Camus and these absurdist philosophers that preach this crazy shit, they wouldn't exist. It's like 10 levels of coping when you could just simplify it all down and get more done by just choosing Christ. Like, it literally is just the answers are right there. Oh no, it's mass-mindedness. It's a theory. It was made by man to control us all. So you're saying your answer to like spend like half of my day reading conspiracy theories and watching Joe Rogan podcasts and trying to decode the meaning of dreams and psychedelics and all these things that just waste time and get in the way of my actual action of creating things and getting things done is better than just simplifying it all down? It's insane. It's literally like an oxymoron to sit here and be like, no, let's spend like these people, these atheists and these agnostics, they feel like their way is right, but it's like if the workforce as a whole abandoned religion, you know how little would be done if everybody, like these people spent hours in the day pondering these things and pondering ways to debate against religion? Nothing would get done. The only way things get done is because people shut up and just have their beliefs and take action. So, every single day this past week has been like a religious rant, but I'm having fun with it, my boy. It really is. It's crazy. It's crazy, my boy. Anyway, I'll probably check back with y'all in a little bit. I gotta get this shit done and quit rambling. Like, I'm being serious here, though. Like, from all the thousands and thousands and thousands of books that you can read, from fiction to fantasy to history to all of the genres, and in between all the shows and pieces of art, it's like, this is why my life philosophy is like this maximalist approach to trying to do as much as possible. And I'm not against it, do whatever you want, but like in terms of like my fulfillment, I'm very much against being a specialist the whole entire life. I just need a lot more tactile functions than that. Like, you could call it ADHD. That's probably what it is, to be honest. But it's like, this morning, I worked in the shop for a long-ass time. I fixed this roof that a tree fell down on it, and it's like I'm feeling so rewarded from this hard work feeling. I come in here, I start reading. I started getting into like Greek philosophy, so I'm reading this like Plato's book and all this, and it's super interesting. And then, holy shit, we got the internet, dog. Napoleon Bonaparte's cat, I forgot the name of it already, but it's like his, the place where he had Josephine live, and he bought for Josephine, or she bought for while he was at war, but it became hers after they parted ways. But it's like they're touring this place and all this cool architecture, and it's like, holy shit, the crown moldings have individual faces painted on them, and the furniture is like from all these different eras, and you can connect the furniture to different eras and different styles, and it's like, holy shit, how did they make that? I want to make that. Wait, what the? It's like all these different things are so interesting. Then a little while later, I work a little bit more. Again, one of the things I preach is like hard work is like very, very important for your soul to think. I come back in to eat some lunch. Lex Friedman posted a Roman history podcast. I'm sitting there taking notes about this in my little journal, and it's like this guy's giving a full-on like $100,000 college tuition level lecture about the Roman history for free online. What the fuck? Library in Alexandria in your pocket type shit. I'm sitting there learning about how important tradition and ancestry was to the Romans, that they would literally, when people died, they would pour wax over their face and keep them in a cabinet in their house. And it was like such a big thing that the kids could recite every accomplishment of their ancestors. And it's like, okay, they went wrong because they took it too hard and they became very stuck in their ways. But in some ways, you can correlate to our modern society, how we've lost this aspect of like tradition so much that it's almost a detriment to us because we don't have it. And it's like all these connections you can make in life and all these different things. And I'm sitting out here bench pressing and I get to work on my body and do all this. It's just, I love life so much. Like, this is what I mean when I say I don't have enough time. And the idea to sit there and be in despair over anything is absurd. That is the absurdest point. To sit there and think about absurdity in life is the absurd thing, and not learn, make, create, and experience. Like, literally the fact we live in the best generation there ever has been. The fact that I can watch a tour of the Sistine Chapel on one hand, then I can go and it's like real shit. Like, I've got a wood shop. I'm seeing this furniture they're building, and I can take inspiration from that and apply it to mine. I would have had to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to travel. Shit, like, I have a great uncle. He went and toured Europe back in the 70s when he was young. And he had to spend thousands of dollars to ship this stuff back just to learn and show people. And it's like, yes, it's one thing to experience, but the mere fact that we get to experience this level of shit, and I don't mean to call it shit in a derogatory way, that's just how I talk, but it's like absolutely beautiful, bro. It's the most amazing thing I could ever think of. And the fact that, and this is not to knock anybody, do what you want again, but the fact that I used to sit in my room all day, and the only world I had was World of Warcraft and weed, and it was fun. And I'll probably do it maybe in the future again, maybe once or twice, just for the nostalgia hit. But realistically, I remember convincing myself that this game was such a massive world and it was so cool and comfortable. But it's like these man-made video games, GTA 6, all this shit is nowhere close to the amount of shit we have in real life. These connections we make, these problem solving, these breakthroughs you can make in your life when you create things. And that's the external. That's just external. You have this whole other world inside of your head that Carl Jung talks about in relationship through religion and God and the exploration of that and interpreting the scripture. And it's all just so beautiful. It's really just, I probably sound crazy to someone who's nihilistic right now, but it's literally the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And more, and this is just coming from a recent perspective shift towards Christianity to I just start viewing this stuff as things God has, the beauty. You know, in the Bible it talks about He made everything perfect and good. Yes, we fell from grace and there's evil in the world and there's bad and there's sadness and there's all these crazy things that don't make sense. But all that beauty, all these the fact that I can find these fundamentals and all these different skills and all these different inspirations and all this stuff is absolutely mind-boggling. And that's what makes me believe in God almost entirely, is just the fact that all this stuff is just free for me to discover practically. There's something to that, dog. To not just sit there in despair and think about death and the sad things. Yes, people die. I've experienced tremendous loss in my family, where it almost broke me apart. I remember sitting in 2018 whenever one of my grandma, and it wasn't a normal grandson grandma relationship. She bakes cookies. I see her once a year. It's I talk to her almost weekly. I would come up here. I spent my entire childhood with her, and when she passed away, I remember we went to a Chinese buffet, all of us, after we left the hospital, and I felt her pulse leave out of her hand. And it was the weirdest feeling. I felt like nothing would ever be the same again. And it was all downhill from here. It was this bottomless feeling I've never felt in my entire life. Just absolute, dissociation from myself. Not just the weird parts of dissociation where you're whoa, what the fuck, you feel confused. It's I felt like I was in a different plane of existence. I was just completely lost and gone. I didn't care about anything in that moment. And the fact that this is my mindset that I've just levied out to you in this video right now proves that all of that is just a bullshit feeling that passes. And now that I've have full faith in an afterlife and through Christianity, those thoughts don't even haunt me that much anymore. Really at all. It's all just, what can I do today? What can I build today? What can I learn today? What can I expand upon today? And it sounds like generic, like, motivation bro shit. But it, like, I don't know in other words besides to jump up and do a fucking backflip to convey the level of just like positive feelings. And in this moment, it might sound like this is just a flow of consciousness for this particular moment right now, but I felt like this last week in the middle of the week at like 8 o'clock at night. I called my friend. I was so happy and was explaining to him, which he's not a sad dude or anything, but he has these, I'm trying to convert him a little bit and trying to I don't want to like push my views on people too heavily, but he's pretty open-minded, and I'm just trying to, he's had really tough things with loss before, and I'm just trying to convince him of it, of how eye-opening this is. It's like, this is the love of Jesus Christ these people talk about. It's like an absolute just joy. Like, I don't know. Anyway, my boy, I'm going to finish up this workout. I'm 10 minutes past my set. Christ is King. Fuck all that chase paper, enjoy nature type shit. I ain't saying that shit no more. Christ is King, my boy. Oh, I look ridiculous right now because I just got out of the shower, but I thought it was really important. I don't know why I continue to try to dispel people that will always come up with excuses, but this is, it's really easy to be like, oh, must be nice, must be nice. We can play this with like everything in life. Must be nice to the end, till the cows come home. But this whole message of like joy and like how positive life has been feeling and how good for like a consistent 6 months I've felt. This is coming from someone who has, since the age of 17, all of these things have happened to me, and I've talked ad nauseum to the point where everybody who subscribed to this channel probably knows this about me. But this is coming from someone starting at the age of 17. I got an autoimmune disorder that caused abscesses the size of golf balls, sometimes the size of 2 golf balls stacked together, all in my groin area, under my armpits, all sorts of things. It's a really rare autoimmune disorder that I got. Completely changed the way I get to eat food. I cannot just eat junk food or it will literally make me want to kill myself. Not literally, but like it hurts that bad. It's that level of pain. I've had so many like month-long stints where like I'm going through a box of 100 Band-Aids a week just to cover over, like makeshifting my own like patches and Band-Aids so that friction from my legs and just moving around doesn't cause them to flare up even more. Just absolute excruciating pain from this thing that just kind of happened out of nowhere. I woke up one morning and there it was. That was a really crazy life lesson for me. Right after that, I lost some weight, felt confident, and then I shot myself in my leg on my 18th birthday. Had to be life-flighted, almost died, crippled me for a while, blah, 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 blah. Then after that, I go and then my car gets stolen. Then I get evicted from my childhood home, have to move 2 hours away, live in the car for a little bit, live off of literally zero money. Had ups and downs there. Then I had a car crash that totaled my car and almost took my life again. And, yeah, a lot of shit has happened in a very short period of time to me. And I've had extreme ups and downs. That's why I know I'm not an expert, but I know very well about these philosophies of nihilism and very cynical philosophies in nature that are just pretty much about dealing with despair. And now I've come to the most positive I've felt in the past. I'm 21 now, so the most positive I've felt in the past 4-ish years. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not trying to act like I'm a special snowflake whenever it comes to suffering, but I don't really know too many people who just wake up one day and all of a sudden you're a fucking freakazoid, and you got to deal with that right around the time where you're getting frisky and promiscuous. So that just adds a little layer of context on the video. Christ is King again, my boys.